Rahim. I want to deal with, and I'll leave some of these notes behind, and this will explain. I'm going to explain a few things about where we're coming from, because the next before the end of this mud is out, we will officially embark on the transition period during this time. The thing about it is, just think the last period. Things are cruising along that was things happening. But this last period, the last recent period, it's been just big jumps. Boom, boom, boom. Where, okay, if we plan to go back to California, and we was talking about Pennsylvania, when William Penn and his charter with the colonial, and he established Pennsylvania, and everybody moved to that area, would live under that charter, and all that type of thing, and some of the settlements in the U.S. Remember, it was only less than a year ago we was talking about when we take our travel to the West Coast, we'll stop at different places and we'll discuss things with them about moving from the city to the countryside. And, actually we was carrying ourselves in the way that we were supposed to at that period. That means that was a long, not a rest period. There's no such thing. But it was a period of contemplation and thinking about solutions. That's what it was about. Okay. At the end of that period, we came to, was watching a movie about, it wasn't absolutely nothing new, about Fred Hampton, Chairman Fred. Then I was on programs with his son a little bit. His mother, Chairman Fred's mother, was pregnant. And the product of that pregnancy is her son, Chairman Fred, who's really, he's all right. But during that period, we could still talk about things. Well, we're going to go around the country, and we're going to go to black colleges, and all that stuff is true. But we're living in a different, this is a total different period than a few months ago. We always refer to as the manifestation of defects. It comes a time when all the defects that we've been talking about over the years, they manifest themselves, If we was talking about in 68, the Tet Offensive, what it did to the U.S., and the statement was, the center cannot hold. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. That was the message from, and it was 68, and they also was bragging to people, we'll be home in a minute. It's like in 51, when they was in Korea, like Chosin Reservoir. Chosin, you saw that. They was telling everybody, you're going to be home by Christmas. Now, that was November. And they put all them big turkeys and big things and took them out to feed them. That was the last meal they had. Them boy, that was it. And they fed them real good. And that night, they got overran, and it was never the same again. It was just never the same again. And to see the bodies out there piled up, and they were frozen, and you can see an arm, a leg sticking up, and they got to almost break it to get it to fit into anything. And that's the way it is right now. the, that something happens at a certain time, that it clears up all the defects, all of them finished. There it is. We've been telling everybody this all the time. The people hanging off the helicopters, the Ferdinand Marcos being told by old Reagan, well, I wish I could help, but I just, my hands is tied. That's what he told him. Carter telling the Shaw, you're an island of stability in a sea, some say, of turmoil and a sea of troubled waters. More, but that's what, just before the lid blew off, right? This is that period, but it is unbelievable because, see, living and reliving through a period is a trip. It's a trip. This period is a real live trip. You know, like to see the people, and every week we didn't talk about Vietnam and people. I mean, it's been a pillar of just passing talk and every other mishap the U.S. had. And how the U.S. Tell you in a minute, well, I wish I could help, but, you know. And, you know, when you tell people that, hey, man, whether it's Abu Ghraib and they did this or whatever it was, and then it come to the people that, well, boss man, we was with you. Now, anybody that didn't know, for the last 3 go-rounds, not only Iran, but Iraq, hey, we'd like to help, but hey, all them the soldiers from America always got their interpreters because they knew how important it was. You know what I mean? They're over there in that Iraq stuff, and they don't know. And the guys, they putting their life on the line, and half of them are recognizable because I don't care how many masks you put on, you're going to run into somebody. Shoot, that's Johnny Boy. We was in the 4th grade together. I know who that is. They ain't going to say nothing. But it's got to be, if we're Americans, right, and we keep running to this crew, that crew, pretty soon, somebody going to say, man, that's Big Hank. I already know. I know his voice. I know it. You know, I know he got a scar over here. That's Big Hank there, period. That's the way it is, and they going to know you, right? And they grab you, then you tell on all the rest of the tattletales, you know. But the people, the poor people now run into Iran and, you know, I mean, see, don't worry. Iran, the benefits is rolling in for Iran. They got to cut. It don't make no difference. You know, every person they lose to this coronavirus or whatever it is, see, not to digress, and I'll get to the subject in a minute, but Iran has a special relationship with Afghanistan. During the long war with the Soviet Union, there was 5 million refugees. 2 million was in Pakistan. They were in refugee camps. They just, you know, they was in refugee camps. That was it. In Iran, when we'd go to Imam, rather, the only Imam is the 8th Imam. He's buried in Iran. In fact, I used to run around what they call the Haram. You know, it's got a road all around it. And I used to run a lot then. And they must have thought, now this is a crazy American. Because it had a road to go all around the Haram. And I would go and just run around it a lot. Because it's right there in Mashhad, you know. Anyway. So the situation that we find ourselves in is that, or that America finds itself in, is it's been totally defunctified. It is defunct, finished. You know what I mean? You ought to hear the British talking about it in the British Parliament. Everybody is, man, you blew it. America has no more prestige. If it was a final blow, it was already done for. Well, semi done for. But in this process of devolution, we're going to see the weirdest stuff. I mean, Don, since what's the name messing up so bad, Don may come back and double, triple mess it up again. You know what I mean? Yeah, you don't know if the place haven't crashed in. But you have to remember, America will be like Rome. It don't or Britain, London. When an empire fall, everybody don't die and get buried and they start all over. The place still exists. You know, Rome, you can drive right by the Colosseum right now. I've driven right by the Colosseum. I said, hey, there's a little piece of it at least hanging there. You know, and they had big stuff going on there a long time ago. All right? When you go to Constantinople or Turkey, when you go to Turkey and you see Hagia Sophia, you know, that big masjid, it used to be the biggest church in, what's the name? Okay. So the Ottoman Empire didn't leave, it just decreased into the Turkish state. So the United States, did you turn the, yeah, maybe just a pinch. You know, the U.S. won't go away. Probably, I don't know, things is getting so stuff now that you don't know what. But, see, we've been here all of this time, and it is no mystery for us. Well, you could probably tell, it's never been a mystery about the direction things is going. It was only like when and how much time do we have, you know. And we talked about anticipation and all of that, reading and studying. So I want to go to one or 2 points, then I'll get to what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about something that is called Deen Al-Malik. Deen Al-Malik this is all in this is in the Quran, and it's dealing with a prophet who's going through certain changes. And okay, so of course it's about Yusuf, and Yusuf wants to keep his brother with him, his real full-blooded brother, you know. And he couldn't, there was hardly no justification for him keeping him, his brother. Let me regress a little bit. You notice the Quran, it's always it don't use the word Pharaoh for this person. It's always referred to as the king. Now, Maulana Maududi, well, right or wrong, he talks about after the period of Musa alayhi salam and after the period of Yusuf and the great work he done in rescuing the people and everything, that Yahud, his people, see, the king, I'll put it this way, the king, the reason Joseph was so well liked by the Aziz and later on the king is because they were of a similar tribe that had taken over Egypt. I'll read all that later on. That had taken over Egypt at that time. That's why it don't refer to the king as Pharaoh, right? It refers to him as the king. And that king, he, maybe they was a little lighter or what have you. They was from up there, like up near Sham, Syria. You know what they look like up that way. They're lighter, taller than the people down in Egypt at that time. In fact, at that time, the people in Egypt might have been just about as black as you can get, I mean, before the Romans came and left their people there, before Alexandria and the Greeks leaving their people, and a little bit of mixing. Even when I was in Egypt, I could tell the people from southern Egypt look just like Sudanese. They have a little more wavier hair, but they black as tar, and they got a little straight hair. Anyway, I had to get back on the subject. Deen Al-Malik. They didn't have a nationalist revolution in Egypt. That's the underlying stuff that's going on. And people didn't forget about Joseph because he was a nice guy. He helped everybody, and all that. But later on, the Yahud, according to the Tafsir, they then took over the cattle industry. It was very important in Egypt and all of that stuff, And so now, people is mad. 400 years or so done passed by. That's a long time. And they didn't forget about Yusuf. But in the meantime, there's a certain statement about Yusuf, and we'll get back to that. Remember when they sent for Yusuf's family, all of them came, and Yusuf went to his brother, his full-blooded brother, and said, "Now there's a lot of stuff going to happen. Don't worry about it. I'm your brother." Yeah, hell, we look alike. They're doggone the same. I eat my hands. Wait, hands, there, shoot, feet. Look at you. Of course you're my brother. He probably don't have to argue with him much. He said, "Now it's going to be a few things go on, so don't panic." So remember when Yusuf don't feel comfortable sending his brother back with these guys before they know what's going on. Right? So, some kind of way, the thing pop up in his brothers, the beaker, the king, and all that, and so he couldn't keep him. This is where Deen Al-Malik comes in, the law of the king. Yusuf is a prophet. That's clear by now. He is a prophet. He's there to get over the storehouses. And so Deen Al-Malik means the way, the method, the law of the king. So he haven't fully established no Islam yet, but he as a religious personality, let's call him a prophet, what he is, he cannot use that term. He cannot use on that point the king's law. Because if you done stole something by the king's law, well, that's about it for you. So then the conversation goes to the brothers. Well, what does your law say? The law says now they're using the Jewish law. If it was found in his thing, then, we don't know what happened. This is all we know. And that's all they know. So he uses that. He don't use Deen Al-Malik because he's a prophet. Okay. I don't know, I'm going to go a long way around. But I'm just going to read something to give you a little idea about some of the things that we deal with here. And this is from 1990, because I read all of these. I read Maulana Maududi during Ramadan 3 times, and I copied different things twice. So it says, the use of the words with whom we have found our property instead of the word thief is very significant. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam avoided the use of the word thief for his brother because he was not really a thief. This is called tawriyat. That is, to put a cover over a reality or to hide a reality. And with certain conditions and limitations. It may be practiced not to gain any selfish end, but to ward off some evil or to protect and save an oppressed person from some oppressor, provided that no other course might have been left except saying something against the trust of having to resort to a deceitful device. I could go on all along. What we've been dealing with here, fiqh of clarification, fiqh of this, right? You know, the fiqh of double dealing, the fiqh of double reverse, right? The fiqh of strategic manipulation. All of those are things that we have adjusted. This is 1990. We had already been here a year. I was living out in Manassas, out at Bahram. That was before. We bought the place over there on 8th Street in 1990. We opened up the first day of Ramadan in 91. So we had all that time to study and study. We went through a period of writing articles, so we had to research and we had to write. And we had to do all of those things. So this has all been just a wonderful experience. So, in fact, in the Sunni traditions, you can use taqiyya, and certain, in the Quran, it talks about you can take your homeboy and give him security until you can take him to a place of safety. So you can guard and protect even a non-believer, right? Till you can take him to a place of safety, till he can hear the word of Allah. And if you remember that, that's anyway. So we've been busy here. It ain't no surprises. The only surprise is that America would have came around and did right. That would have been a shock. Now what are we going to do? Let's see. Right? Well, what are we going to do now that America is going to do right? Well, that would have been preferred, but America didn't do right. Not only America didn't do right, none of the American. Now, can you imagine the people that's with Boss Man during this period? And the stuff that Boss Man is going through, and they still with him? That's unbelievable. And you have to understand sometime, well, you're black, so you're different. They're not going to listen to you. Whoever it was in the Quran whatever tribe the poor messenger was from, they gave him the same thing, right? Hey, man, they told one of all of that is right and good, but if we followed that solid stuff, we would be poor and crazy. We would be, you know, if we if we good God Almighty, man, if we paid attention to that, if we use true weights and measures, a pound is a pound, 454 grams or 453 and a half, something like that. Hey, man, we would be, the way they looked at it, they would do good, but they didn't look at it like that. They thought we have to cheat. If we didn't cheat, we wouldn't have nothing. That's the way America is right now. And it comes to a time when you reach a position that, look like boss man is not going to listen. And people with boss man, if they can't pay, if that don't get them, and you've been sitting there waving that flag for 50 years, that's okay. We're going to a different, and that's technically what we're doing. We'll go through that at another time, but we're moving to another level. That's all. We expected all this stuff to happen. But I didn't expect for the people to be sitting on the fender, no C1, whatever they call them, C-135 or something. Just hanging to the land, yeah.
You thought the helicopter thing was serious, but
A jet, it's got to get up to 85 or 100 to get off, probably 100, to get off the ground. So when you fall off of that boy, you're going to glide for about 2-3 seconds before hitting the ground at 100 miles an hour, and then you done got up off the ground and ain't nothing but rocks there. It ain't the runway no more. That'd be bad enough. You get skinned up, pretty bad. That's how people wanted to get out of there. And the world is looking at it. You know what I mean? I guess we pay attention to the rest of the news from Iran, the news from Britain. The parliament of Britain, they cussing, and you stupid MF, you ain't got no more sense than that. You dumb son of a gun. That's the way all the Europeans is. You can't even leave the place without it exploding. You can't just take it easy or look. You ain't got enough sense. That's the way boss man look. You ain't got enough sense to evacuate the place, to have an evacuation program. And we've been with you. Do you know how dumb you look? Because see, the British Parliament, all the people that was against this, all of them come out. Look at your home, that boy, and they laugh, they rolling. And the world is embarrassed. The world is embarrassed. And then look at how we look, our people. Our people, Lebanon right now is going through a thing with gas prices and all that. And it's unbelievable. So, Walaikum salam. So, but they holding on. You look at all our people. They're going through unbelievable stuff. And they ain't batting an eye. And it don't look like they're not prepared to go anywhere, and they don't look like they're going nowhere. And the Islamic Republic, where's everybody up there? Mazar Sharif, they done opened 9 or 10 camps already. So the people are coming across. Who's it coming off? The educated people and the ones that's being double-crossed by Sam. They got to go. And when I was in Iran, it was 5 million refugees in the old days. 2 million was in Pakistan. In Pakistan, they just sat in the refugee camps in Peshawar. In Iran, they all went to school. They got top education. That was 40 years ago. There's a whole Afghan, and they all come from Shias. We'd see them every time we went to Mashhad, because that's up near Russia, you know. That's up near where they from, too. And they got, they didn't go to school in Pakistan. They didn't do nothing. They got the best education. When you saw workers digging in the street in Tehran, it was all Afghans. The Iranians was messing with the war, and they were like Mexicans that come over here and do all the work, and they love it, and they appreciate it, right? That's the crew they got, been in Iran 40 years now. Now they got another crew. Now they got another crew coming, okay, that didn't go back. Okay, 800,000 of them went back. But if you was from Afghanistan and you done got a top flight education, a college degree, half of the women that's in universities, not half of them, but a large percentage of them are Afghan women that got, they're Iranian now. They've been there. They look the same. They talk the same. They already dug in. Now, but they down with it. So if you get a few hotheads always want to take off hijab and stand up and cuss everybody out, they had a whole nother crew. And now they got another crew. All them camps. So if Taliban get out of line, which it'll take them a while, because they got to play this game for a while, but they bring all they got to do is bring the people across from Mazar Sharif, teach them and train them, and if the Taliban get out of line, no Iranian put a finger on nobody, but they bring them across and they send them back. In fact, they should have some auxiliaries that come across and get training right now, so they can go back and they'll be just playing dead. They'll be working, doing whatever they want to do, right? Because those people, there's a reason that everybody just gave up all those cities and went away. And they had excellent training. Because that was part of the deal. That was part of the deal, that they had signed on for. They didn't bring the Afghanis there to talk. They said, man, y'all cold-blooded. But they made the deal with what's the name of them. Everybody know what the deal is. And all the commanders knew what the deal was. That's why everybody said, let them come on in. Shoot, they couldn't have walked in with the way the Afghan army been trained. They couldn't have. They were let, that was the deal. You come in, and the guy's mad because when the president of Afghanistan run off, they let him run off with $5 or $10, right? So you can say you can run off with that or what have you, and, live happily ever after. Or you could stay over there and maybe be pushing up daisies or whatever they do when they die. Anyway, that's the deal. Everybody sees what the deal is. This is the manifestation of defects. At some time in the history of an empire, and it comes by surprise. Nobody knows this is going to be it, that, you can't sit by the door and this is going to happen. That's the one that did it. You can't close that door. You can't close that door. The people were falling off planes. Huh? You, oh, not, all right, alhamdulillah. All right. Welcome. All right. Huh? Oh, okay. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. All right. Okay, yeah. Welcome. I just said welcome. You're welcome here. All right. Right. Yeah, hey. Alhamdulillah. It's a good detour. Yeah, you can come on through. Yeah. All right. Wa alaikum salam. So anyway, the manifestation of defects. Uh, well, we could go over not all of it, but manifestation of defects. That's how people that won't return us to call. Have anybody seen Marzia on TV lately? Right. How long ago? Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I look at it too. I left the thing, but remember how we would be joking over there at Care's joint, you know? And I don't know if you remember the time when the white folks was in there and they came out and they just looking at us and all of that manifestation of defects mean just what it is. All the defects surrounding whoever it is, the United States, they all apparent. The defects associated with us and what we've been trying to do is not manifestation of our defects, because I'm not saying we're perfect or nothing, but it ain't nothing going on with us but trying to institute, something better than what we have. But everybody else is catching it, and they catching it bad, and they catching it in the worst way. So for what we have been doing and what we're doing, it pushes us up to a higher level. Now, this book on anticipation, we have anticipated all this stuff that's going on. We have anticipated it. The only thing, we never knew exactly the day and the time. But some of this stuff, the longer you wait, the worse it gets. On the case of the Zionists weakening the U.S., that's still the ticket. That all of these things going on around the world, we don't get any feedback from the system except for once or twice, because the Zionists is controlling it. If it was Americans, the FBI and all of that, I believe that that our analysis all along, there's 5, 10, maybe even 15% of them that really believe in the Constitution. They really, they really believe that. They believe in that. Okay. The Zionists don't care nothing about it. The Zionists are mean. I mean, when I say mean, I mean they adopted the Nazi principles 100%. They're superior in execution than Nazis because they've convinced the world that it's okay to do what we're doing. See what I mean? They've convinced the world, oh, it's all right, whatever we're doing, it ain't no big deal. Is this off or yeah. Something off. Okay. Bismillah, Bismillah. Okay, I'll try to keep my hands to myself here. No, anyway, the United States, I mean, the Israelis are practicing pure, unadulterated Nazism. No, the Nazis was the epitome of, I mean, it is like you could tell they don't consider Palestinians as human. They don't consider you're not human. In fact, you're not even technically an animal. You're a bother because they wouldn't treat SPCA. You can't treat animals like they treat Palestinians. Tell the truth. You can't. You go to jail in America right now if you lock up some animals. You can see the TV. They sang them old songs of poor, and they show you them poor animals. Right? Locked in a cage.
Looking more human.
Hey, man, you can't be, and then I be saying, shoot, if you want to see that, why don't y'all show the niggas in the cage? The niggas at the city jail, the county jail, they look just like, and they ain't been fed. They don't wash regular. They ain't got, you know what I mean? They can't go outside and play. That's the way but when they show animals, this is terrible, right? But you show that to the Negroes. The Negroes say, why? What did they do? That's what they'll ask. What did they do? What did they do? Okay. So that's the mindset. But that mindset in this manifestation of defects, it's an across the board statement because all the things, when that manifestation hit, it uncovers everything that's of the people that's involved. So the Zionists now, they got that, what's that little stuff they got going around at the Zionists? Pegasus, everything. Okay? And they getting all the white folks, probably the U.S. used it on what's the white lady over there in Germany? Andrea Merkel, and okay. So it's not that we expect any assistance or association, but we're not waiting. You could almost feel we're not waiting for the system anymore, the Mandela effect and all. Well, we'll still do the Mandela effect because it's the right thing to do. But I mean, waiting for them to to come around and say, well, we did this, that, and another, and we want to straighten that out, and da, 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 da. And the thing about it was, is that we have always known that the things that need to be done will be so big, and you have to do them in a certain period of time. Like there's a time limit on all this. Why is it a time limit? It's because last year the fires was really messing up. And the year before that, it was Santa Rosa and it was Redding, and it was fires within fires, tornadoes. You know, that when they showed you a neighborhood, the whole neighborhood burned down. Fires and tornadoes used to be, they'd roll through, they'd get this house, skip another one, and they'd get one house be there that looked like it just, they was watering the lawn or something. That nothing happened to it, right? That's in tornadoes, and that's everything. These now, whew, when you look at them, you look at it like the whole thing. Okay. That means everything is accelerating so fast. That's why we don't, it's not that we don't have time, but technically we cannot sit back and say, well, maybe they'll get it in 2 or 3 years, right? Why? Because that ain't even, there's no stamp, there's no guarantee. The acceleration of the decline in America, in the oceans, and everything accelerates everything else. When all the stuff burn up, it burn up logs and trees. What's in the trees? All the carbon is hid in the trees. So it makes more greenhouse, right? And everything that have something that's going wrong, it accelerates everything else.
All the wildlife destroyed there. Produces pollen, or does, or eats up carcasses. Everything is affected. No more water in the reservoirs.
Talking about water. Man. Anyway, we used to fight forest fires. That was a nice time at camp. You know, forestry camp. I actually liked it. It was jail, but it was fun. To me, it was fun. Work outside, cutting down trees, timber, and all of that. You know, and fighting forest fires. Of course, I got to leave just before they really got hot, but I understand the concept, you know, and all of that. And I actually realized that I love the forest. I actually love it. That's why I won't run on the street. Up California, I run in the hills. I will, if I have to, run on the street once out every night, but I don't like it. I like running in the trees. I love them. Okay. Manifestation of defects, dear believers, mean that, the time of us pretending or taking it easy is back to kind of like Deen Al-Malik. And it's back to when we're not in a time frame where we can put up with insanity. You know, like we can pretend or other people can pretend. That's about gone. Technically, it is gone. So everybody can do what they want to do, but we're not going to do that anymore. And we'll talk about that in a few days. But that period is over because it's not the time for it. You know, yeah. We have to get together as believers. And I believe that everybody has seen enough. They don't need, if anybody has seen what Boss Man do, and he can still put his trust in Boss Man, or if he think that, well, if we just duck and we do this for Boss Man, that Our kids will do fine. Don't seem like that's in the cards. Boss man's time is up. This boss man's time is up. And boss man done had plenty of time. And boss man ain't gonna leave nobody. If anybody get through overboard, it's you, it's them, right? Boss man not gonna jump overboard. Yeah, I did wrong. So, oh Allah, save me from myself, and he gonna jump overboard. That's not anywhere in history. It just don't pop up. Surprisingly, the Negroes, the Arabs, because people in Salih's time was Arabs, looked like right there, you know. A lot of the people, when the blast hit them and they just laid down and all that wind coming through, hey man, they just paralyzed. They're paralyzed, and they all had a warning. Now, of course, the warnings in our time, overboard. They're overboard. But when you read about the people in the past, they're not overboard. The people got warned over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? And you know, it looked like that the same thing. Ain't nobody. Well, shoot, a fire will come. The rain will come and put the fire out, and this, that, and other. Birds will come and they'll eat up this. And that. That must be what people are thinking, because they're not buckling down. Okay, that buckling down means the stuff that we did last week, this week, 2 months ago, that stuff is, everybody can do what they want to do. I'm just saying what, we have a human responsibility, you know, and it come out too regular, it just be saying, and then we have our own, let's call them, we have our own ayats too, stuff come to us, all this stuff that we've been knowing about these groups and everything. Well, we've been knowing it all along, but Allah just verified in front of everybody for us. It ain't new to us. It ain't new to CARE was saying it wouldn't open the door. It wouldn't even let it, you know what I mean? And what was wrong with them? Because if all of this is true, then all the people there, a percentage of them knew what they was doing with us. And in San Jose, they had to know, because that's where we're from, and we'd have passed out a lot of stuff. They had to know. Whether it's Iranians, whether it's Arabs, everybody knew, and the Negro knew, right? So, as far as manifestation of defects, everybody knew, but nobody made a proper move, and that's probably our job. That's what we, you know. Look, sometimes when I think about the stuff that happened in life, it seems like a real long time. You know, because of this, for all that stuff to happen. One white woman over there, she says, we was on this program together. We was on Press TV or something together. She had read about me on the internet. And then also that Professor Goldstein was there with her, you know. She said, look like you done lived 3 lifetimes. And she was smart enough not to try to pull nothing slick. And the professor, the brother, he tried a couple of times and he got beat so bad without ruffling a feather. Because they don't think, you know, they all PhDs and they think they might be way out in front. because they don't see no PhD before your name. So they don't know. For us, that's great. That means we're happy, because a PhD is pretty darn or damn stupid. That's what we call it, a PhD. Good God Almighty. Pretty darn near stupid. So all that anyway. That's the main thing we wanted to mention today. That on every point and everything that they have done, it's been a backfire. It's been backfired on. And that's in detail. We'll talk about it other times in the details here, that this stuff has backfired on them. And there's nothing happened to us in these indications. So if they're looking and hoping for Iran to break, for Lebanon to break, and all that to break, everybody is looking at them more like, hey man, pretty soon, if they do one or two more things, nobody will listen to their what's the names anymore. They said, hey man, you did this, that, and other, and see, it's all over. That they're already saying that when the British turn on the Americans, and the French turn on them, and the Germans, well, they already been stealing from everybody, or keeping everything for themselves. We're back, we're number one. Well, what about us, boss man? We don't get nothing to do. Well, what we gonna? Why would we share with you? Well, we just white, and we have some needs too. And old Don Lee, he's telling them, shoot, y'all don't get nothing. We keeping all of this. So, and not that the poor old man, he'll be bald-headed before he leave. That poor old man gonna be so old by the time he get out the White House. It's already affecting him. You can see the way he walk now. He got that old man walk. He used to be running up to the stage, to show that he ain't doing that no more. Why? Because he lies so much. Where they turn everybody's hair white. Now, Barack's hair was turned white, and he's a youngster. He'd run up the stairs. He's still playing ball. You know what I mean? He's a youngster. He ain't even hit no. And hey man, that stuff, all them lies, and old Bill lying all the time. Bill's hair turned white too. It was already whitish looking, but Bill just, hey man, I don't know, but that boy was still chasing tenders, and he's 500 years old. I said, the white man is really something. That must be the last thing go on them crackers sometime. Because they don't, or they just be wanting to do something. You know what I mean? They just probably just be there and rubbing on people. I don't know what they do. But I know they passed any, but that's their business. And I never understood Bill. Well, I understood that Hillary is too smart for him. You know what I mean? Good, Hillary the white girl got a mind of her own. And Hillary was the healthiest woman ever been in the White House. Tell the truth. When you go back 30, Hillary was healthy. I mean, she was colored healthy. Now everybody, the white girls got shapes now. I don't know. They used to have, I'm telling you, I'm not lying. If you think I'm lying, look at those ladies in the 50s. They thought Marilyn Monroe was healthy. Right? For a Negro woman, shoot. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is, those people, it's not nice to say those people sound like, they don't get it. They don't get what life is about. And they're so small-minded that they don't have a right to exercise authority over us and our future. That's basically what it is. They don't have the right. And if we let them do it, we letting them do it. We're not, that's it. And don't forget now, we've tried the Mandela effect, and we've tried to be welcoming, and we've tried to say, well, we'll share this and share that, but they don't have no understanding of that. Even as dumb as they are, as stupid as they are, they're not willing to, if it was somebody in the world and they had a record like ours, hitting the ball out of the park every time we come to bat, and that person said, okay, here's what we'll do. Now, we're not taking none of your advice because you don't have the ability to advise nobody on nothing. We ain't going to do nothing to you. The only thing we're going to do is help. That's all we're going to. And they don't want that. Oh, no, we ain't having that. We're not having that. And that's part of the stupidity. That's the things. See, this is living in scriptural times, and that is a trip. That is, white folks would say, that's weird, man. That's far out. Living in the, and you're living in a scriptural time. If you ask most people, they won't say anything like that. But we know we're living right smack in a scriptural time. And we are in it, and we know it, and we're associated with it because we're right in the middle of it. Just because they don't know about it don't mean that we don't know where we are. You know what I mean? They don't determine anything that, all the clowns, whether they're in California, wherever they don't have nothing to do. They have nothing to do with what we do. Even the things that they try to drag us back to, we keep moving on and to get back. Who needs the Masjid in Oakland? I mean, that's like 50 years ago, right? We'll get all of that back, but there's nobody sitting here saying this is our strategy to go back 15 years ago, which is like 500 years on our clock. To go back to go back 10 years for the life we're living, that's a long way back. That's a whole nother era. That's a past dispensation. We done been through that, and we're all, you know what I mean? We're where we are. We're actually where we talk about, and we're ahead of that. Because just like what we say, some of the things we can say and some of the things that we can't say. A lot of stuff we can just discuss it. But we don't tell boss man everything that we got on our mind. We just tell him enough that he should listen. If he don't get it by now, that's too bad for him. We're in a new, we're not waiting for him to get the message. It just, he didn't get it. And that's what he's going to have to live with. But we're not going to live in it with him. He's not going to affect what we're doing. The world needs what we've acquired. They need it bad. And it's only a few. There are people in the world today acquiring many things. And we fit in that world. The 5 or 10% that we play in this world, our part is necessary for it to come out right, to make the others, they have their part they have to play, right? Because you can see the world changing, the people they got stuff we talk about, ocean-going vessels that clean up the ocean. They got a few of them, they're not moving fast enough, but neither are we moving fast. We're not, you know what I mean? So, now things will expand by leaps and bounds because it's like when war is declared, if war is declared in 1941, all of a sudden everything that was happening before the war was declared is it's not moot, but it's like we got a war to fight. And that's the way it is now. We have a war to fight. And I mean, who would have wanted this war where the Earth's survival depends on this, you know. Yeah, if this don't go right, now we believe in Allah. And in the creation, we don't know whether this is the first go round or the 9 trillionth go round, because Allah been here from the beginning, right? And they had black holes, and then poof, out of them black holes, expanding universe, right, and all of that. We don't know what go round this is. I mean, we don't know. Like a lot of people say, well, this the only go round. Shoot. So you got something to say, this was the only, and Allah talking throughout the Quran about infinity. And you got to get some sense sometime to learn what certain ayats mean. Because sometimes you just pass over them, and we don't know whether this is the first time around or the zillionth time around. Because, see, Allah been here all along. We just getting here, a few billion years ago and 9 billion years ago. Well, 9 billion years the earth and 4 billion has already gone by, 4.5, right? So they saying we got another 4.5 million, a billion, something like that. Long time. It's long for me and you. But the human being's not going to destroy the earth. Right? You ever see them programs that in a million years, the earth, if it was messed up, it would have broken through all the sidewalks and all of that would have decomposed. So the earth would be, if it's 2 people made, 2-3 people made it by, it'd be 10 to 15,000 people running around and they'd be just happy. They wouldn't even know no history or nothing. You know what I mean? They'd just be trying to figure it out. And to them, it'd be like starting all over again. And the oceans would have been freshed up, right? The water would be freshed up. Fish running around or swimming around, right? Okay, the earth, we can't do anything with the earth. The earth is going to be here. But that don't mean we'll be able to breathe on it. Remember, those destructions, that may be that this time is going to be this, the whole thing might be just, closed down for a while. And that means we wouldn't be here. For the earth, that would be great. And the earth is a living organism. The earth, I believe the earth is the one rebelling against all this stuff, saying, oh, you won't keep me in balance? I'll burn your black ass. I'll burn your behind up, right? I'm not speaking for the earth. The earth wouldn't talk like that. But tell the truth. You niggas won't straighten up? All right, fine. You know what I mean? This is my view of what the earth is saying. Oh, you just gonna pollute me up and stick plastic all in my nose and up my behind, and that's fine, okay? Yeah. Well, dig this, That's what it looks like to me. That is the interpretation that I have. Oh, huh?
It looks like a system trying to bring itself back
curing itself. Yeah. Rebalancing. Rebalancing itself. And remember, it's got millions of years to do it. It don't have no timeline like we gotta fix this up. We got a timeline. Right? If we don't get this thing cleaned up in a while, we're gonna be past the point of no return, and it's just gonna be miserable. Now, for me, I'm not saying I'm happy about it, but I am 76 years old, and it might last another 25 years. That's what I was saying before, but I ain't all that sure now. The way things is picking up, even if it's here, I'm not saying the earth would leave or go nowhere, but the quality of life that we have now, hey, I don't believe that like we live in now, I don't even believe 5 years from now. I mean, what I mean is, from the way we've been accelerating, in 5 years from now, today, we can check it out if we're still here. Based on how things was, let's say 5 or 10 years ago. See, because the first Earth Day was 50 years ago, I think. And they did a little cleanup and stuff, and because the rivers used to catch on fire, the ones in the Midwest, they'd actually catch on fire. I said, man, that's deep. They cleaned it up a little bit, so you didn't hear much about it for a while. But that good job that has to be done on earth, we want to be a part of that. And it ain't too much you can do to be a part of it. And that's the side we want to be on. Okay, and I'll move toward a close. Okay, education. Well, we know about the drug dealing, Afghanistan. When the U.S. got there, drugs increased 400 to 500%, or 400%. Well, like Vietnam, everywhere, South America, everywhere the U.S. military and stuff is, those are the drugs. Yeah, that's one thing I've always known that. Okay. And I'll talk about this later. We got kind of like 2 weeks of surrender management. The government got a couple of weeks they could surrender, and if they don't, they can go somewhere else. Detail to come. Policy of deception. We talked a little bit about some of what we've been doing. We've been doing very good, and we've been honest and sincere. But the things that we use deception, it was a part of Quran, and that's the reason I read that part. So you don't even have to stretch it to see that there's a few portions of Quran where there's room left for you to do certain things long as you don't go too far. Long as you don't go too far. And that's, we started on that, it's been 30 years ago now. Yeah, we started, because it was during that period that all of this stuff evolved. Everything that happened in between was like note-taking. Oh, this happened, that happened. But this anticipation, the art of leading by looking ahead. So, we do not have and we cannot have a policy of deception. That's basically what it's saying. Because we have to be careful that we don't get like slick preachers and you know what I mean. You go down that road and pretty soon you done lost the road the way back. You can't get back, you know. And we're not taking any chances. And by the way, this would have to be the best job in the world. It's not anything other than that. Okay, we'll talk about the CIA and NSA and the Zionists later. You know, all this is coming together right at this, you know, today, you know, you'll see our friends doing a lot of chest beating and things of that nature. And it's right with, this stuff happened right at the right time. Because everybody's thinking about Imam Hussein and all of that. And that's a big deal. But get ready for 40 days from now will be Arba'in. Now you got to remember, all of this stuff we've ever talked about have had those kind of notations by it. So many people going to Najaf and Karbala. And we wait right here and don't even go back to California because we're waiting for something. Boom. Qasem Soleimani gets martyred. And that takes everything up to another level. So you remember, all of this stuff is being evolved all along. And with us, you got to remember, our team is winning all over the world, and they ain't nobody playing with our team. And our team is just like us. We're not perfect, and they're not perfect. Boy, but anytime the Yemenis can hold out with all of that stuff they're doing to them, that is a miracle. And all the stuff happening to Lebanon, another miracle. We would seem like idiots if we said the white man did this to us. We did the white man, a Kabul story. The white man, he just, right? Technically, we got it good. But we know it's important where we are and what we're doing. And we definitely ain't by ourselves. The people are paying attention. You know, the right people are paying attention, and the right people always have been paying attention. But the people have never been encouraged, come show compassion for us. That's not, each people have a certain job. Go help the Lebanese, go help the Iranians. But evidently, our job is to take care of this ourselves. And when we get help, it'll be when Allah wants us to have it. In the meantime, we're not doing bad. We're making fun. Can you imagine? You remember now, all of these, we've got copies of all of this stuff. I checked the recent ones. They seem like I just put them in and they show up. If they don't, we'll just redo it and everything. But I'm telling you, look at what can you imagine? Just for a minute, just imagine what we've been doing and what we've been saying for the last 10 years. Just that period. We didn't hit it out the box. It's more than hit it out the box. At first we was batting 900 and something. Now we're close. We just say we're not batting 1,000 because that's too much. You know what I mean? It's like then you're perfect, right? But we've been batting 900 and something all along. and we still add it's actually to the minute and to the day, right? So what would we want? What would we need? We don't need any more than that, right? We don't, any more than that, it would be like, man, you got people really catching it around the world and you sitting up here whining about a little bit of this or that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying Allah would say that, but that's what I would say about myself. Man, you sitting up here, the people, because you could, meanness looks like meanness, historical meanness, and people will be treated a certain way, whether it's Palestine, whether it's Iranians, you know what I mean? And remember, all the people, the thing about sabru wa nifsul iman, patience is half of faith. You look at all the people that did what they did, whether it was Arif Nim, and then they have to go over there and they said to white people, you like white folks? Well, they are, right? And in them programs we would be at, all the brothers that stayed here, all the Sabakis. See, the brothers was real, whole numbers of people went back home. Whole numbers stayed here. And all those people are mixed together. Do you know that some of the people are altering, they saying, hey man, that's too many stars, too many zeros, this thing crank it up and it come up star, star, star. Hey, right? So everything that we need, Allah gonna send it to us exactly when we need it. Allah gonna send it to us exactly what it is and when we need it. Let me see if there's anything else. Well, we offered our cooperation with Boss Man. We sure did. We've been offering it all along. Just like Mandela was. That's what the Mandela thing was about. Ours is more complex, but they did the best they could under certain situations. But there's basically nothing. If they took too much of the land from the white folks, which we thought they should, the ANC, the PAC. You remember the PAC? One settler, one bullet. That was their motto. And they had to get rid of all of them. Yeah? And now the white folks in South Africa, you don't see them popping up too much. All the bad stuff is managed by the Negroes and all this and that, everything, right? Yeah. So the white folks, they got their Democratic Party, and all the born frees are with them. The people who was born past apartheid, their police and their everything. The last trip I was in South Africa, I used to see that sister there. They was running a little marathon or something. And she was a police. I used to see her. She was born, she was born just before apartheid. In other words, she don't remember apartheid. Maybe she was 5 or 6 years old, And they got that whole crew. They was not born in apartheid. They grew up. All they see, everything is wrong as niggas did it. Right? Right? They don't, you had authority to do stuff and the white folks are just reeling them in. and patting them on the back and telling them there's a better way. And you sit around, the white folks will have it back. If they don't, they just about ready to get it back now. Yeah, they get it back. Because all the old folks that remember, that was 20-some years ago. That was a while back. 93, 94. The first election was 94, man. That was a while back. Most of the people voted and went through apartheid. A lot of them is gone. Everybody that's educated and all that now, they don't remember none of that. That's history. It's like us watching the history of slavery. And they live in the same way, but they don't remember. All they see is niggas do this, niggas do that. You see. That's why we should get busy. Okay.
It almost sounds like the care article. When you read the care article, that's almost like how the youth talk. This new generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they were talking about the had them. The same type of mentality.
Well, see, but there's another thing. They see that and he had them like that, but see, when you're younger, you're a little tougher and willing to. So the same people that they was trying to mislead, I believe they're gonna be right there with us. The same people, because they all got their Sharptons, they got Zaid and them, they got Siraj and them, they got all them people with them, right? They'll be the NAACP. Yeah, or worse. They are the NAACP, right? So, anytime people come in contact with us, we're going to have a solution laid out for them. And it's not new. We've been doing this all the time. So that's why to have patience and what have you is so wonderful. Okay, let me see. We went through the Tet Offensive. Graveyard of Empires. It seemed like the U.S. would at least read history, right? Everybody's Afghanistan. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. And now Iran, you got to remember, Iran and what's the name is neighbors. The only thing about Afghanistan and Iran was that Iran was the empire, the head of the empire. Because part of Afghanistan and all of that used to be Bukhara. It used to be in the Iranian Empire. Out of the Sahicita, 4 or 5 of them, well, more than that. Yeah, 4 or 5 of them. A few of them was from Arab stock, but Imam Muslim, Sahih Muslim, Isfahani from Isfahan, right? All of those, the 6 collectors of hadith, right, that we have, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi. Tirmidhi is a place in, up near Iran. The 6 collectors of hadith, most of them came from the Iranian Empire. So Iran was an empire. It had all the sicknesses of an empire. Afghanistan was an appendage It didn't have the sicknesses of the empire. That's why anybody went through there, they said, I got a weird feeling. Let's keep going. That's what Alexander said. That's why they left the Buddhas, all them big Buddhas, them things was there when Alexander and them came through. Them things is old. And then the dumb Taliban blew them up. Them bad. And hey, okay, anyway. Everybody came through there. You got to remember the British at their baddest in 1854 at Khyber Pass, the Afghanis whooped their behind. All you got to do is mention Khyber Pass and everybody British started running. That was at the height of the British Empire. Now look what happened to Boss Man. He'd been to Afghanistan 2-3 times, and look he done got whooped. The Russians say, hey man, I'm gone. Fine. Here come Boss Man. I teach him a lesson. First 3 days, he's just doing fine. They've destroyed our countries. We have to rebuild. They destroyed Iraq. They destroyed Libya, right? And each place they destroyed was rolling. Libya was nice. Iraq, they printed books in Egypt, and they read them in Iraq. You know, that's what they used to say, yeah. Okay, but anyway, the Persian Empire and Uthmaniyya. Everybody is sitting right there, and if you want to take Pakistan as a remnant of the Eastern end, you know what I mean, the Mughal Empire and all of that. And if you want to take Turkey, right, as the Ottoman Caliphate, and you want to take Iran as Persia, those are the three empires that they mention in history. Those people are right there resettling. They're actually resettling. And our people are not accepting colonialism like they was. This go round, look, Iran has been here for over 40 years and they haven't had a day's rest. And they've been building all the time. And you give them another few years, they'll be right up on the West. They have right now to where you can't do nothing to them without getting hurt yourself. You see what I mean? You can't jump on them and say, yeah, we're going to jump on you, and that's it. You can't do that now. And they don't know what Iran has. They don't know whether they really have atomic, what's the name or not. It wouldn't make no difference. They got so many. Anyway, I was going to mention what I call this Titanicism. You know, the Titanic, unsinkable Titanicism. You know, Titanicism. Shh. Okay, Ted Offensive. That's Graveyard of Empires. This is Tawsua of Imam Hussein. Tomorrow, and then 40 days after that, we'll have. This is going to be a very serious Arbain. It's a very serious what's going on right now. And you have to be honest about it. The Shias right now are carrying the ball for Islam. That's just the way it is. And technically, I knew it the day I saw it. I said, yeah, they're carrying the ball. So we're going to get in the game. The other people, they're not carrying the ball unless they're carrying it for Saudi Arabia somewhere. So, and I'll close with this. To heck with them bums and cowards. You know, like we used to say here years ago, if you want to be with them sissies, go on over there with them. We ain't going. If you like them sissies, the sweetie pies, go on over there with them. We're not going. We don't want that, you know. Are there any questions or comments? Tomorrow, after 40 days, about 40 days, because Ashura maybe it's tomorrow, something like that. And then 40 days after that, all the period between, this is a great period we're living in. And in 5 or 10 days, these are those periods like in the 60s, things happen so fast. It was one of those periods going up. When it started going down, it did the same thing. But we're going up right now. Everything is coming out like it should be. So, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Are there any questions, any comments about anything?
Brother asked, I see America is using the fear track after the debacle in Afghanistan. That terror will arise from there. My question is, what about the homegrown terror? I feel we are seeing the decline of false man's power around the world.
Homegrown terror?
Yeah, so the brother's asking, the U.S. mainstream media is basically putting, popularizing the concept of, they're going to produce terrorism there in Afghanistan. But the brother was asking, but what about homegrown terror?
Look, everything now is all the stuff they've been talking about. You got to remember, you ought to hear them dumb generals get on there and try to make up something about it. It ain't working. When the history catch up with you, the British not listening to them. Ain't nobody listening to America. You should have saw that fool on TV the other day, trying to make up something about. Yeah, man, the people was rolling in the aisles. If you could have heard them. And the world, just look at what the world say. The world say look, this thing, that finished them. What happened, that was it. That's it. That's what we've been looking for. That don't mean America's all finished, but that is the pillar event. That's the Tet Offensive of our time. They can't rebuild. They done did, and remember, they did everybody. They did everybody. They did the British. They did the Canadians. Well, we're going to do this straight now. They did everybody. They did themselves. They cannot blame. And the army, see, you got to tune into to the white folks who's in the military. See, all them white folks and Negroes that had people interpreting for them, they got to liking them guys. And they was like guides. Imagine you over there and you don't know nothing about, you don't know where nothing is. And everybody says, stop, boss man. That's. And they remember, and they got back home. And you left them over there to get fried. Right? And all you had to do was say, hey, they got the soldiers that lives was saved, men and women, and they're pleading. They got a whole line of them, thousands of them lined up. Everybody in the troop is writing Congress, everybody, and they ain't letting nobody in.
Some of the calls on CNN and C-SPAN, although vets calling in, trying to figure out, trying to get their homeboys back. They call it in C-SPAN, complaining about, and talking just exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
How much them Afghans, they saved their lives.
They say you think they're not happy to be back here? You know how many people left behind? They said, man, and you ain't gonna bring Chemo Sabi back here? Hey man, and there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room. Just bring, we don't need to bring back but 20 or 30,000 of them. If you take all of them from each period, this time, maybe I have to take 5,000 or 10,000, that's fine. Let them. Suppose a few that get under the thing that don't belong here. So what? If you open up a movie theater, how many people you think sneak in? Half the people in there snuck in, right? So the only way you can keep everybody out is have, like sometime we go to the movie, we go to see every movie in there. I don't know what everybody else do, but I ain't going to no movie to see no one movie, right? You can say, well, today we off, so I'm going to get me 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many. But I'm going to the movie to see the movies. And you wait till something that's right. Of course, you pay for one. I mean, who wouldn't, one movie? But you don't have to go back to the movie for 6 months because you saw everything that period, right? I'm just saying, why not? So you can't make everybody being paid to get in. Well, then you got to keep everybody out. Then, do like some of the movies, they watching everybody. Hell, it ain't nobody go to that movie. They go over where they can have a good time and, have some popcorn left over, right? But you go to the movies where they watching everybody and they ain't nobody going, the word is out. Man, I ain't going over there. And there's 3 or 4 people in there, every one of them kind, right? But the other ones is full. They get all, don't worry, if you get in free, the longer you stay, the more popcorn you eat. If you would buy 1 bag of popcorn for $40, you going to be done paid, right? The people is dumb. Let them in, almost let them in free. And you got to stay 4 hours. Just tell them that. So you got to go buy a drink, but a big old sweet drink that costs $10. You know what I mean? Don't get no ice cream bar. That's $50, right? Right? I mean, who cares, right? So anyway, are there any more questions?
Actually, no, well, there's nothing else from Facebook. But one of the funny things talking about the Zionists, but one of the call-ins on C-SPAN was that he sounded like an old white guy, but he had said, we have to sit here and bring up what Israel had to do with this debacle. And then the commentator, the guy that called and said, oh, okay, that's it. And he just couldn't go along. I was like, oh man, that was quick. I thought they at least let him get to what he was talking about.
But no, see, you got to remember, you listen to C-SPAN a few more. Everybody is on, the more people plus they don't want their country fighting for Israel.
Right, yeah.
They don't want Israel causing all these problems for them. They done caused them already, the UN. Everybody knows, okay, so Israel they going too. No, they going too. I would say they gone, but they got 2, 3 more things to do in Palestine. But everybody in the world already know it's them Zionists, right? So, alhamdulillah. Are there any more questions or comments? Okay. All right. Alhamdulillah. أقول قولي